Hey everyone, how's it going? I have a brand new Tesla Model X refresh that has the new interior as well as some exterior modification. So this is the 7-seater long range with the 20-inch wheels. As you can see from the front fascia, it has a different bumper. As for the side profile, everything else is pretty much the same with the exception of the black chrome that is now standard. You have different wheels. These are the 20-inch wheels. Same tire that you will get in the original Model X when it first released. This is the Continental Cross Contact 265 in the front and 275 in the rear. And these are the more efficient wheels. It is chrome deleted or powder coated in a black matte finish. So you do have that center cap covering up the lug nuts. Really nice wheels compared to the previous version, which comes in silver. You do have the powder coated brakes calipers for the front and rears with the Tesla logo. And otherwise, everything else is pretty much the same. The camera fender, again, chrome deleted in a glossy finish, as well as all the trim. I did notice some of the trim was slightly misaligned. There's some soft spot adhesive issue, but nothing major. The headlights, front headlights, are not the matrix like in the recent Model S refresh. So you won't get that Tesla logo. This looks to be the same headlights that you got in the original Model X first release. So not bad headlights, but you won't be able to project the wording and you won't have the matrix headlights, at least in this current build in June. As for the front fascia, again, the bumper is changed to look like the Model 3 and X. So you have that fog lights on the bottom of the bumper. Again, soft trim touches. There are some misalignment with Falcon wing doors on the right side. It is hit or miss with the closure on incline. So we'll have to get that adjusted from Tesla service. Hopefully they will be able to fix that. As for the interior, this is a 7-seater, black interior with wood finish. You have everything similar to the previous model. You have the logo back now on the pillar on top of your head there for the center seat. For folding the seats, the mechanism for a 7-seater RR manual. You have the electronic switch, just like the previous model. No changes here. As for the seats, they are perforated in the rear as well. No ventilation for the rear. As for the center console, now you have a display for the rear passenger. It's fairly snappy. You still have that 2 cup holders there, slightly different modification. 2 USB-C above the cup holders, so nice touch. You have the auto vents now instead of the manual vents that is above. As for the display itself, it feels like a matte finish. You probably want to put a screen protector on here, especially if you have little kids that will be using this. You can control your climate, watch movies, Netflix, Disney Plus. Kids love the Disney Plus, so definitely something to consider subscribing to if you haven't. You can use it on multiple devices as well as in the Tesla vehicle now. As for the punctual, it is pretty punctual. There's no freezing. There is a slight delay when you're scrolling up and down, maybe a few nanosecond, not a full second. Of course, you can also control your seat heaters and also the fan speed, as well as also the brightness of the display there that I just did. The volume for, I guess, the rear speaker. So you do have speaker on top of the actual roof itself. So there's 2 new speaker added here. With the previous unrefreshed Model X, the sound in the rear seats are not that great because it didn't have that much speakers on the top of the actual doors itself. It's just on the lower end. So I'm glad that Tesla added this to the Model X. And of course, you have YouTube, Netflix. Netflix is a crowd pleaser, so something you want to log into if you have a Tesla vehicle, as well as using inside your home. So multi-purpose with streaming services. Tesla will continue to add them. Also, Hulu is also on here. And that is it for the rear display. As for the rear seats, it feels very comfortable. Feels just like the previous model. I don't think they did any bolster changing in terms of how it was before. The front seats are slightly thinner than the previous model. So it's not as cushiony as the previous model, but they did make it more plush with the vegan leather. As for the rear lights, everything else is the same. You do have now 2 coat hooks that wasn't there before. So nice touch that they added this, because the previous Model X didn't have this. Of course, you can't use this if the third row is being used, because then you'll be blocking the person behind. Some trim issue here. This panel just fell down, and that's something that Tesla service will have to replace. I'm not sure what's holding this up, but it doesn't seem like the clips is keeping that in place. As for the driver's seat, the window switches now are no longer the Mercedes version. I actually prefer the Mercedes one. This is straight from the Model 3 and the Model X. I'm sorry, the Model 3 and the Model Y. Now in the refreshed Model S and X. The display, head-up display is very nice. Crystal clear, glossy finish. Your brake and accelerator pedal now automatically comes with the aluminum cover. So unlike the previous Model X, you gotta have the performance version to have the aluminum pedals. The display is huge. You can feel the presence of the display. I believe it's a few inches bigger than the Model Y and 3. For obvious reason, you can rotate this display as well. I believe it's about 15 degrees to the left and the right, 15 to 20 degrees. Is no more than that. So it's automated, and you can control that by clicking on the icon on the display. Seems like it's on a automatic mount with a rotating bolt in the middle there. You really can't see. So you definitely can't remove this display like you can in the Model Y and 3, at least by yourself, that is. I'm sure eventually somebody will try to do that to see if they can modify the display in any other way, but I don't see any other modification you can do to that display. You do have your wireless charger here, your manual drive control on the bottom, and that's only if you don't have a display to adjust your drive mode. For example, you crack your screen. There is some weird creaking noise with the sunglass tray holder and also the cup holder. It doesn't feel as premium when you're sliding it forward and backwards, but the automatic sliding forward and backwards seems to do its purpose. I'm sure it will hold up okay over time. You do have 2 USB inside this compartment here, USB-C ports. It's a deep pocket, not as deep as the original Model X, but as most people will probably not use this other than putting their wipes or tissue box, but you do have additional storage under the armrest, which I'll show in a second. This is your 12-volt adapter for wherever you want to plug in your radar detector, aftermarket dash cam, or if you have ambient lighting that you want to add, you can use that. In an odd position because you won't be able to cleanly run those wires outside that storage container. So under the armrest, you do have that magnetized armrest that you lift up, and it's good enough to store a tissue box and a couple small items. Otherwise, not much storage there other than that half-size tissue box. So that is it for the center console. The wood is very nice touch. Looks a lot nicer than the previous version of the Model X interior. And back to the display, the control is very similar of that of the Model S refresh, and it is in alignment with the Model 3 and Y latest version 11 display software. So you do have that adaptive suspension now. The height adjustment is still the same. You have extreme low, low, medium, or standard, high, extremely high. You have your autopilot control lights. You have your display. So not much difference to the Model 3, Y, or Refresh S. It's actually the exact same setup as the Model S refresh. As for the front display, very crisp, clear display, and the steering wheel feels very nice. I have to say, the yoke steering wheel does have that haptic feedback on the signal, the headlights. You have your horn, windshield wiper, and your voice control. The scroll wheel is straight out of Model 3 and Model Y, so your aluminum scroll wheel. As for the airbag, is right in the center, so that's not our horn. You can't use that for the horn. You have to push on that button. And I just really like this display. It's very crystal clear, just like in the Model 3 and Y. Very similar, just larger size. I think the resolution is probably similar, if not slightly better, but it looks the same to me. You definitely want to put a screen protector on this based on the size of this display. Probably a couple grand to replace, at least a couple grand. The Model Y and 3 is about 1,000 to replace. This at least 2,000 to replace. I'm trying to find something out of the ordinary from the display, but everything is layout very similar to that the Model 3 and Y and Refresh S. So nothing to really explore here. You do have insane mode now on here for the long range. So 0-60 on this Model X long range is about 3.5 seconds, same as the Model Y performance. I'm sure that is assuming you have everything in order. You have 80+% of charge, tire pressure. It may be in the performance wheels of 22s. I'm not sure about the 20-inch. You might have less traction. The glove box is fairly small, probably smaller than the Model 3 and Y. As for the trim, interior trim, there's slight creaking noise here and there, but nothing out of the ordinary. You do have some adhesive issues around the car outside that I showed earlier, but nothing noticeable inside. So just listen. As for the automatic seat controls, they're pretty much the same. They did take away the headrest adjustment up and down, so you no longer have that. For the trunk, some changes here. You do have additional cargo space on the right side, as well as deep pockets on the left side with a cover. So now it comes with this cover that you can take off or leave on if you have items you want to store on top. Not sure what the purpose of this is, but a pocket alone would do it. So slight difference from the previous Model X before the refresh. You do have wires showing now when you lift up the rear cover. So not sure what that's all about. That wasn't there before. So that is pretty inappropriate, because for a $100,000 vehicle, those wires can get stuck or trapped with items you throw in there. So just want to be careful with that. As for the folding seat mechanism, unfortunately, it does not have the Model Y automatic folding seats. You're going to have to manually do that with the electronic switch. As for the front, you do lose some cargo space here. So you can see I threw in the original mat from the previous Model X. It doesn't fit. So you lose about, I would say 2-3 inches from length, but the width looks to be the same. You do have additional cargo or storage underneath the front two seats now. So I have a Model Y 3 storage tray that I'm gonna test out to see if it fits underneath the Model X, and it does. So kudos to Tesla for adding this. I really love this. It makes you feel like you're in a airplane and you have storage underneath your seat. So very handy. I tend to throw a lot of stuff under there in the Model Y, and with this Model X, you have the additional storage in the front. The trunk size is similar to the Model Y. You have additional height, of course, but as far as underneath storage, definitely a must in all vehicle, at least in SUV. I think that's something that other manufacturers should look into. So thanks for watching. If you're interested in the Tesla Model X long range, make sure you do all this inspection after pickup or during your pickup. There are some kinks that they still have to work out. Unfortunately, after 5 years, four or 5 years, they're still trying to fix some of these kinks. So if you asked if I would recommend this Model X now, I would say wait a year and see how things goes once they fix up all the kinks, and I would recommend, just like they did with the original Model X. It took them at least 2 or 3 years before they cleaned everything up. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. Catch you all next time.